Let's do this. This is so weird. Okay, hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm fastASMR and this is my face. So now that we've got that over with, let's get started with the video. So I get a lot of comments on how much my videos help you guys sleep or fall asleep, sleep through the night, or just get a little nap in, something like that. So I just noticed a lot of people have trouble sleeping. So I thought I'd make a video compiling some sleep tips for you guys. I know countless people aside from the internet that are also struggling with falling asleep, so I just hope I can help a lot of you with this. I don't think any of these are secrets necessarily. Some of these are super obvious, but maybe so obvious that you don't even think of doing them. And some of them might work for you, some might not. Either way, it won't hurt to talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, because I feel like 50% of the world are insomniacs. So here we go. Tip number 1. You need to get into the zone, into the mood. You need to get ready for bed, and not just physically, but also mentally. Best thing to do that is for you to create a little ritual that you do every single day, every single night, like you do with babies, and toddlers, and kids in general. They all have a little ritual before they go to bed, and that's for a good reason. We all, the world is faster than it's ever been. We're surrounded by information 24/7 if we wanted to. Hopefully a couple of those 24 hours you're not surrounded by information and you're just sleeping. But if you wanted to, you could get information any time of the day and in amounts that are just insane. So our brain is just going crazy. It's working constantly. And you need to calm down. You need to wind down before you go to sleep. Otherwise, you won't sleep. Or at least not very well. Have a ritual to show their body, okay? Now it's time to slowly calm down, get ready for bed, and then sleep. Do something to calm down. I don't know, take a hot bath, take a shower, read a book, anything, any kind of quiet activity that doesn't involve screens, also shouldn't involve social media, because, that can just sometimes make us very anxious or just fuck us up. Do yoga, meditate if that's something you can get behind. Just do something to signal your body that now it's time to sleep, or it's almost time to sleep. Then, of course, so that's tip number 2, make sure your sleeping environment, aka your bedroom and your bed in particular, are inviting and capable of giving you a good night's sleep. That means you need a decent mattress and a decent pillow. I know that's easier said than done. Those things are expensive. I feel you if that's just not something that you can improve right now. But that's okay. There are other things you can do. But if you can work on these things, look into getting a good mattress and a good pillow. Depending on how much you weigh, there's different kinds of mattresses that you should get, and a pillow shouldn't be too fluffy, but it also shouldn't be too flat. Lots of things. You can read up on it, go to a mattress store or something like that and ask the employees there for help. Just get some information on this. And then sleeping position is important. If you're waking up with an achy back or neck, then you're probably not sleeping in a good position. And there's pillows for that, like these long pillows that you can just put between your legs and like kind of cuddle as if it was an actual human being. Those are pretty good, but that's just an example. So sleeping environment needs to be optimized if you're not sleeping well. Tip number 3 kind of refers back to something I've already said. No blue lights before going to bed or while being in bed and trying to fall asleep. What does that mean? Blue lights are basically every kind of screens. Your phone screen, a tablet screen, a computer screen, your TV. They all have this bluish cold light, which for some reason messes up our brain and makes it harder for us to fall asleep and stay asleep and sleep well. So if you absolutely have to look at a screen to fall asleep, I know some people like just have to do that, then make sure your phone is in night mode if that is an option, because it makes the screen turn like a yellowish orangish color instead of this blue lighting that I was talking about. But if you can, try not to look at any kinds of screens. Next up, tip number 4, tire yourself out. Exercise, not right before going to bed though, because that's counterproductive. But exercise a couple of hours prior to sleeping. Just tire yourself out in any kind of way. I don't know if you can relate to this, but when I was a kid and it was summer, for example, I spent the entire day outside. And at the end of the day, you just almost drop dead into bed and you fall asleep because you tire yourself out so much during the day. You need to do that. You need to get back to doing that. Tip number 5, caffeine. We need to talk about caffeine. It might be your best friend in the morning, but not at night. It might come back and bite you in the butt at the time you're going to bed. So try not to have any caffeine after, 3 p.m. It's a random time. Might be different for everyone. Some people might not be affected at all by caffeine. You can drink Coke and coffee and tea or whatever right before bed and still fall asleep. Well, lucky you, but a lot of people can't. And it might be their caffeine consumption and the fact that it's too high. So watch your coffee intake mainly. But remember, black tea also has caffeine. And Coca-Cola, caffeine. Try to avoid those if you're having trouble falling asleep at night, and see if that might be the reason. Number 6. This is going to be very difficult for a lot of people because I know we all like our naps. Napping is awesome, but napping can also screw up your nighttime sleep, because if you sleep too much during the day, your body just can't wind down at night and sleep your required 7 to 8 hours because you already slept part of that during the day. So if you absolutely have to take a nap, try to make it a short one, 20 minutes. There's a little trick for that. I don't know if you've heard of it. You probably have. When you lay down, take your keys and put them under your hands and hold them like that, and just fall asleep. At some point, you're gonna relax so much that your hands will stop holding the keys and they will fall down, and they're obviously gonna make a noise that is probably, hopefully, gonna wake you up. And that's when your power nap basically should be over, for it to be a power nap. And then you should not have as much trouble falling asleep at night. Another thing to look into if you're seriously struggling with sleeping well is your diet. And I know that seems to be the answer for every ailment and every problem there is, but for a lot of issues, diet is actually the main scapegoat, so to say. So, don't eat super heavy foods right before bed, because then your stomach is just gonna be super busy digesting those and you're not gonna get rest. So eat something light before sleep. Also, don't eat right before you go to sleep for the same reason. So even if you're eating just a light, a salad or something, or just a light snack, it might screw up your sleep because nonetheless, even though it's light, your stomach has to digest it. Tip number 8. We already touched upon that. Social media. Stay off of it. Stay off of it before you go to sleep. If you can, stay off of it entirely, but let's face it, we are all addicted to it by now, so that, for many people, that's not an option. But try to stay at least off of it right before you go to bed, because the world is a crazy place and some crazy shit is always happening somewhere, and it might make you very anxious to know all those things that are happening right now, and it might prevent you from sleeping. Also, once you start looking, for example, at Instagram, you can't stop. So you're like, oh, just one more picture. And then 2 hours later, you're still looking at your cell phone. You're still looking at your phone, swiping through tons of pictures. So just don't. Try not to. Do that during the day, or maybe an hour before you go to bed, and then just put away your phone or your tablet or whatever it is you're using for social media, and don't even think about it. Next up, and I think that's something that everyone who has trouble sleeping can relate to. I actually think literally everyone can relate to that, and that is overthinking. It's the biggest bitch in town. You can have a super calm mind the entire day, and then by the time you lie in bed, your brain starts working like it's on steroids, and you start thinking about things that during the day would not at all pop into your head. Or you start worrying about something, or you get great ideas. I get great ASMR ideas at nighttime. So what I do, and that goes for the overthinking part as well, is I write them down. Whatever thoughts you have on your mind, write them down. Don't ignore them, because we all know that doesn't work. Don't try to push them away and tell them to disappear, because they won't. Instead, write them down and then tackle them the next day or the next week or something. Just postpone. Don't try to get rid of the thoughts. Just postpone them for a time that is more convenient than 2 a.m. And if you actually do go back and think about them, then you know that they were important for you. And if you don't, if you forget about them, then they weren't ever worthy to pop up in your head anyway, and you're all good. So try and do that. Make like a thought diary. Or that sounds cheesy, but something like that might help. Tip number 10 is for a very specific group of people, but I think it's actually more people that are affected by this than we think, and that's those who have tinnitus. That annoying ringing, that never-ending ringing in your ear, like a high-pitched beep. For those of you who struggle with that, I can recommend white noise. So, what is white noise? It's basically just a constant background noise, usually like whooshing, like the sound coming from a fan, or an AC. To just have that on constantly in the background can really help. And if you don't have a fan, or if it's just not warm enough to actually turn on a fan or an AC, or if you don't have an AC, then you can actually find white noise videos on YouTube. There's people who upload videos of a sound solely for that purpose. Also supposedly helps people relax and concentrate. But for people with tinnitus, it blocks out or helps them ignore. I don't think it completely blocks out the noise, but it helps them ignore that high-pitched noise so that they can fall asleep a little bit easier. Tip number 11 would be different relaxation techniques. Try a guided relaxation. Again, there's a couple of them on YouTube, but you can also make up your own one. Just imagine you're lying on a beach. You can feel the sand on your skin, a slight breeze on your face. This is what a guided relaxation is. There's also something called autogenic training. I don't know if you've heard of that. I've actually made a video where I apply this method and thereby help the viewer fall asleep. Basically, it's auto-suggestion. You just tell yourself you're tired over and over again. But, in a less ridiculous way than I just made it sound. It's a little bit more profound than that. Go look it up. It might help you. It's also great for calming you down in certain situations. If you can, have someone massage you. That would be amazing if we all just had someone every night that could give us a massage to fall asleep to. I know very few people have that luxury. So that might not be an option for you, but if it is, definitely try it out. Massages do wonders in helping you fall asleep. And lastly, super obviously, try some ASMR. I know I said no screens, no cell phone, but if that's the only thing that can help you fall asleep, then go for it. Especially if you put your phone in night mode to get rid of that blue light, then you're all good. Just put an ASMR video on, put headphones on, or don't. You can listen to it without headphones. Put a video on, close your eyes or watch the video, whatever you prefer, and let the tingles guide you to dreamland. Tip number 12 is, I think it's a little bit controversial because it's like one of those homeopathic things, or like if you believe in it, it works, but if you don't, then it doesn't. Just try it for yourself. Maybe it works. And if it does, well, that's great. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about certain herbs and essential oils. Certain herbs, if you drink them as tea, for example, have the reputation to help you fall asleep, to calm you down. People tell you to drink chamomile tea before bed. Who knows? It might help. It certainly won't do any harm unless you're allergic to any of those herbs. And the same goes for essential oils. For example, lavender is supposed to be, I swear, if you look up essential oils and sleep, the first freaking oil that will come up is lavender, because it's supposedly super duper calming and therefore supposedly helps you fall asleep. Again, might not work for you. It might work for you. Give it a try. You have nothing to lose. And lastly, if none of this works, if none of these tips do anything for you, go see a doctor. Go get professional help, because there might just be some underlying thing physically or mentally that keeps you from sleeping. Sleep apnea could be one of them. Just go to a doctor, tell them what's happening, see if you have serious insomnia, see why you have it, and what to do about it. They're probably going to send you to a sleep clinic and try and find out what is going on. And once you know what's going on, you can work on it and eventually, hopefully, be able to get a good night's sleep again. That would be amazing, and I would be very happy for you. So do yourself a favor and go see a doctor if everything else has failed at this point. So that was it. That was this video. I'm not used to seeing myself in the viewfinder, like, completely. But it's refreshing. I might do this for more videos. I don't think I'm going to do it in every video. It's just, yeah, I just feel like for some videos it's good, and for others it's just not necessary. But I'm definitely not opposed anymore, as you can tell, to doing it. I need to look at the camera, not the viewfinder. Viewfinder? Camera. Viewfinder. Camera. Anyway, I hope, all jokes aside, I hope these tips helped you. I hope some of them were new for you. If not, I'm sorry. There's just, there's only so many things that you can do until you really have to see a doctor. But I hope that one of these tips will do the trick for you and that you don't have to go as far as seeing a doctor. But if you do, don't hesitate to do it. Do yourself that favor. So I hope I helped you in some way. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sitting through this. It's pretty long, I think. And yeah, as always, I hope to see you in my next